Listen, some guys being nice isn't all there is, man. You gotta be
Yeah,
complete.
there's a lot of
All right.
They move small guards out very quickly.
Shifting gears to talk about some high-level league business. There's been a lot of talk about the new CBA, the new luxury tax, the new salary cap, and what's been called the second apron, or colloquially, the super team killer. It appears the league has made the decision that they want to break stuff up. They don't want teams to be allowed to easily amass all these mass contracts and assets. And it's been talked about a lot in free agency. You know, it was talked about a lot when the Suns made their trade and the fact that they wouldn't have much cap space to go in free agency and fill out the roster. But I think a lot of people didn't anticipate or understand the way it may have been affecting this past trade deadline. I think in the NBA, people look at when trade reports come in and they think about the player to player and they go, oh, that makes no sense. Like, why would you give up this player for that player? That player is not helping you or whatever. Or they see a trade happen and someone get waived and they're like, why would you just trade for that player just to waive them? And I think people don't understand that sometimes these players are being treated as a contract and as an asset. And that the trade deadline, not only is it one of the best times for teams to get better, it's probably the most important time for organizations and GMs to manage their books and to get their money right. So a lot of these trades that we saw yesterday were about clearing money off. People that have aspiring contracts are incredibly valuable because they're going to come off the books in the summer during free agency. People that have a lot of years are bad. That's why the Bulls, who have a lot of players that are obviously not happy, one of the reasons they could not really make a move is because they have some terrible contracts, right? And to provide a little history and context, I saw a great video. We saw a great video that explained why the NBA started doing this. When the salary cap jumped a few years back around the 2010, 2011 era, when the new TV contracts came in back that decade, the Supermax was invented. Y'all remember when the Supermax first came out? And Mike Conley was the first person to get it, and he got like $200 million. And at that time, we were like, "How the hell is Mike Conley getting paid $200 million?" And $200 million sounded like it sounded like the craziest number we've ever heard at $200 million. I think Kobe was only making like 180 something or like 170 something at the time.
Less than that. I think the max he was making was 25 a year for 5 years.
125.
Yeah, it was surprisingly low comparatively.
It could have been.
Nah, I think he made like 150. I think his last contract was something crazy.
Yeah, like 40, right?
Maybe his last one.
Yeah, his last contract he was getting like 40.
Yeah,
his last contract was something crazy. LeBron was only, I think making maybe 30 something at the time. It wasn't that well. But anyway, what that happened is that coincided with a big group of all-stars being in free agency at the same time. And so they all demanded the full max. And that turned into these big balloon contracts that were backloaded where they were making their most money at the end of the year to match the scale of the rising salary cap. But what that turned into is that half of those contracts turned into terrible contracts because those players were not that good by the end of that contract.
That's a fact.
Russell Westbrook, John Wall, other examples.
That low-key could have ruined John Wall's career.
It did ruin John Wall's career.
That contract.
It did ruin John Wall's career.
That's what I'm saying. It absolutely did. What do you mean it could have? It did.
Yeah.
Because he was still a good player, but you could not rationalize adding him to your team and having him take up that much space on your roster. Of your salary cap, right? Gordon Hayward got 4 years, $120 million, right? Tobias Harris got $180 million, right?
My man.
The Rudy Gobert inexplicably got signed for $205 million.
12 and 12 gets you $205 million a year, kids.
Zach
in 5 years, I'm sorry.
$215 million, right? Bradley Beal, $251 million, right?
None of these guys are worth that amount of money. Like
going back to John Collins, a lot of the reason, and this is what I forgot to say when we had that conversation, a lot of the reason why John Collins was traded was because he had a terrible contract.
Yeah.
They overpaid him when he came up during his year, and he was on 5 years, $125 million. And so when the team didn't win and they had to add assets, we can't add any assets if John Collins is taking up $125 million of our cap. So they moved him a lot because he was getting paid too much money. And he was only going to get paid more, right? These are backloaded. So next year he's making $27 million. You know what I mean?
That's
Kyle
insane.
Lowry.
$27 million on the Jazz is crazy.
Kyle Lowry got traded a lot, not only because he wasn't playing, but he had a bad contract, $85 million for 3 years. Davis Bertans is making $80 million over 5 years.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson is making $90 million over 5 years.
That's
If
not
he-
that bad.
If he kept shooting at the level he used to, though,
Yeah.
then it's not that bad.
And then obviously the worst contract in the league, Ben Simmons, $177 million over 5 years. He's
One of the
got one
worst
more
in
year
history of
left,
NBA.
right?
Man.
One of the
So
worst in history.
what do we think about how the NBA is sort of reversing? And the salary caps are harder. It's harder to build out your roster if you're top heavy salary wise. And how do we feel about sort of the trade deadline when money was getting moved around? Right, Pat Bev, I believe, was a money move. And I'll look into some other money moves. But what do y'all think about just the second apron in general, the luxury tax, and money getting moved around the league?
I think it was a good decision by the league, obviously, to avoid this top heaviness. Like you said, it's supposed to be a super team killer. I don't know how effective it was for that part thus far, but I don't know if we've actually seen the full fruits of the labor of this new proposal. So I don't know. I think we got to wait to see the full effects. For as far as money moves go, yeah, you're right. There are a number of money moves here, so the effect is pretty clear there. But again, I think this is this is only the second year this policy has been enforced, right?
It's first year.
First year, okay, yeah. So you got to see, you got to give it some time to
Not
see.
sure.
I can't really speak that much on the full effects, so we don't actually know.
Some money moves that could be considered for money. Toronto getting off Pascal Siakam's contract.
Yeah,
RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett, yes, the Knicks getting off RJ Barrett's contract, and quickly, honestly, because quickly was going to have to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was more so quickly, honestly.
For real.
The Mavs honestly getting off Grant Williams.
Mhm.
That's also partially a contract move. A move that we didn't talk about, but is actually really important. Maybe not this year, but next year. Buddy Hield going to the Sixers.
Yeah,
Buddy Hield is not on the Pacers anymore.
no,
Buddy Hield is
No,
a
got traded to the Sixers.
Philadelphia 76er. He played last night in a
Wow.
Sixers jersey and had 20
he's
points.
going. I was gonna say he's a good. He get the player that they wanted Danny Green to be all those years ago, and when they went out and got JJ Redick, that's Buddy Hield.
Yo, this Sixers roster is
Is very
phenomenal.
It's kind of crazy.
Very good.
Kind of crazy.
I feel like they might be
They're missing is
banking.
a-
Phenomenal.
They might be banking on Joel Embiid coming back and like right.
They
before
are.
I mean, if he does, Mo Bamba, Batum, Covington, Harris, Heald.
Covington's still over there. He went back.
Yeah,
Oh.
look, Harris, Heald, Kenny Lofton Jr., KJ Martin, Tyrese Maxey, Melton, Oubre, Cameron Payne, Paul Reed. That's a deep roster.
Very deep, right up there with
And
the Knicks,
young.
man.
And
the
it's
Celtics.
it's a great mix of youth and veterans. You
Mhm.
got shooting, you got defense.
If
The
Joel
only
Embiid-
knock
Joel
is you
Embiid
could
wasn't
say
injured,
Tyrese
yeah.
Maxey is not a top level all-star yet. And so they still
Not
only
yet,
have
but he's
like
going to be.
one
He's
top
going to
level
be.
guy.
Yeah. Listen, if Joel Embiid wasn't injured, this might be their year, particularly now after this trade.
I would still say it's the Celtics year, but I would say this
Yeah.
is going to be a Goliath matchup.
I think next year's a year. If they let Embiid like just try to get healthy
Get
this
healthy?
year, next year could be the year.
And they blow it. They've just like dropped to 8th and whatever.
He's already out for like what 4-6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
it might
it
be
more than
slow
that?
for them.
But 4 to 6 weeks isn't that? I mean, it's a lot of time. That's not that much.
No, but here's the thing with meniscus. Like it heal if he does a meniscectomy. I don't know how to say it, even though I had it.
Meniscus.
No, I know what the
Meniscotomy.
meniscus is.
Meniscectomy.
Meniscata. Yes, that's what I had. There's a quick recovery for that because all it has to heal is the surgical site, right? When you're just clipping off the torn piece, and that the body takes care of the inside by itself. So you can get technically cleared quickly, but when you don't, but you can't do anything for a month because it's your leg.
Yeah.
So when you sit for a month and you're a big man, him getting into basketball shape. I mean, him getting into basketball shape, not injured every summer is a
always
task,
a thing,
right? Like
yeah.
it's always a thing. So him sitting for a month and then trying to ramp himself back up into basketball shape to then come back to then play playoff basketball.
Yeah, it's tough. I think we gotta shut it down and do it next year. Next year, there's a chance. It's the real window.
Yeah, shut him down. Not a bad decision.
I'm not saying like shut him
Try to
down
bring it
completely, but like the
No, I'm
window
saying
is
shut him down. I'm saying shut him
Yeah.
down. Stole him from next year. If you can keep this
Here's
team,
my thing.
I'm
I
not doing
don't
that.
I don't say shut him down. I just say
Yeah.
like put him on the timeline that ramps him up for next year. Like bring him
Yeah.
back on a minutes
Yeah,
restriction.
exactly.
Let him play out the year, but don't try to gas him out. Like
Exactly.
because you don't want him sitting for even longer. Because then at what point in the summer are you going to say, all right, get up now
Mhm.
and start getting in
Right.
shape? Like no, he should come back and he should be rehabbing. And when he gets there to play ball, he should the way they did Paul George. Remember when he broke his leg?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like he came back at the end of the year, but like it wasn't on some like, oh, we're trying like nah, like we're just gonna play you so you start playing basketball again and like go into the off season sort of like back in playing basketball and like have a nice full ramp up. They should do that. Just have him playing ball, not necessarily going for it, but just playing ball, just play ball so that you head into the next season sort of on the runway fully.
I mean, they're gonna try and win the chip, man. Because I think
Oh,
they're
God.
gonna
Yeah,
try and
I
win
agree
the
with that.
chip.
I agree.
Because they're looking at him like we don't know how long your career is gonna be here. So
Sheesh.
we max because this is not his first injury. He came into the league injured. So
Of
they're
course.
looking like, all right, you could be healthy by the time we're in the playoffs. So we're going to max you out. They'll try to play him low minutes if it's blowouts and all that, but
They're not going to. And this is why they need to shut him down, honestly. I
They're
don't trust
not
the
doing
76ers. They need
But
to
going
shut
back
him
to
down.
the effect of the second apron and all of that.
Yeah.
Honestly, name a good team that cares about like a contending team that cares about making money moves like that.
The
Denver.
Celtics.
Boston.
You think they care about making money moves?
Yes, they do it all the
Yeah.
time.
They did. That's why they did sign Bruce Brown back.
Correct. Their salary caps are extremely well managed. They're not in the luxury tax. They're, you know what I mean? We can look this up.
But see, the thing is, if they saw somebody that they believed, because the thing with they're able to manage their salary cap because they draft well.
That's a good point too.
That's why.
All right.
Yeah,
I lied. Boston Celtics are fourth in the league in terms of luxury tax, so they're pretty up there.
and that this might be the first year that they're up there like that, because
Correct.
this year they got Drew Holiday, Kristaps, but I'm just saying, like, good teams don't care about the money. We're not in the NBA anymore where great teams are holding back from spending. Like, that's not a thing anymore.
I mean, we can run down. Who do you want to? So the Nuggets are the chips, right? They're the
Yeah.
championship.
Yes,
They
they
have the sixth largest luxury tax bill.
Okay.
They're homegrown too.
Who else do you want to know?
Mhm.
Because there's only 8 teams that even have a luxury tax bill in the NBA right now. Everyone
Who are
else
they?
doesn't have one.
Who are they?
The Warriors obviously have an astronomical bill.
But
Yeah.
do you know
That's part
that-
of their issue. That's part of their issue why they didn't make any trades. When we were talking about losers and who didn't make trades, it's
Right.
hard for the Warriors to trade anybody because they have a bunch of big ass contracts.
Do you
Who
know
in the
how
NBA
much
wants
the
to-
Warriors is?
172 million.
Wow.
They paid everybody over.
See, but that's the thing. The Warriors is the highest. That's still not even a second apron. All these teams are trying to avoid that second apron.
Right.
But that's why it's hard for a team like the Warriors to make trades because
Yeah.
who wants to take Andrew Wiggins' contract?
Exactly.
No one. Not a soul.
Or Clay for that matter.
Or Clay's
Nobody wants to
contract.
take Clay. No one wants to take
Well, here's the
Draymond.
thing, Clay's an expiring contract. he's
Right.
up this year, so that actually would have been a good trade. I think they didn't trade him because it would mess up chemistry horribly. Like I think
That was a mistake. I'm not gonna lie. They should have moved off of Clay.
No, I think Steph would be distraught.
Yeah.
I think you lose Steph mentally and morale wise if you trade Clay.
Their morale is already down though. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think his persistence and the reason he's playing so well still is that like I think the presence of his boys makes him feel like if we're here, we can figure it out, we can make it happen. I feel like them trading Clay with them be admitting like it's over, and I think it would be in his mind he'd be like, well, it's over.
Which is why
You know
I think the Warriors make those moves at the end of the year.
Yes, because I think you could talk about it, you could figure it out, you could like, you know what I mean, like have heart to hearts, figure out where and maybe Clay talks himself into himself into like not wanting the Warriors to sign him. Like maybe maybe he can get some money somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now Clay signed for a couple years on his contract now.
But he's up for his extension now. Otherwise, he will be playing for a contract, basically.
Gotcha.
That's the like idea. Like most players of his caliber don't become free agents, right? Like unless they want to. Most players they come up when they're eligible to sign an extension and they negotiate and sign it.
Yeah.
So that's part of what the narrative around him is, that the fact that he hasn't got an extension that I guess he wants. It's almost like they're kind of saying, like, actually, we kind of want to let you play out this contract, and then that's it. You know what I mean? Like, have a thank you for your career. Like, we'll honor this contract, and then it's over.
Crazy,
but yeah,
it's time to blow it up. I'm not gonna lie. It might be time to blow it up over there.
Kuminga's gonna have to get paid.
Yep.
They have some tough decisions. They decided to just pay Draymond last year, which I think was a really strong decision, and I mean strong, like as in bold.
Yes, it was.
They let Gary Payton go sign a contract and then traded to bring him back.
Yeah, because they got too comfortable. They got too comfortable. They didn't plan for their future.
I mean, you could argue. You could almost argue, and this is what I love about this conversation. Jordan Poole might have been a salary dump.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
You think so?
100%
yes.
was.
Too much money. Bad production.
Him and Draymond. They chose Draymond.
That was a narrative last year.
Yeah, but I don't think it was mostly just play production between those two. I think actually it was like
it was the salary.
He already signed Jordan to crazy money, and we can maybe talk Dre into taking some less.
Mm-hmm. That's why Draymond really punched him. They said you got to choose today.
I think everyone viewed that as like on court value, like Draymond's on court value outvalued Jordan Poole's on court value. I think this year's proven that like maybe that's not as true as we thought, but I think it was more of a money thing. Like, is Jordan Poole's premium worth paying this over what we get for Draymond and at a cheaper price?
Low key JD says trade stuff. No.
To who?
Well,
no.
To who?
To the Clippers.
Yeah, that's what he wants to see.
But
come to the Nets, like anybody could say that.
To say the rest of the teams that are paying luxury tax bills, obviously number 2 is then Clippers.
Right.
Speaking of low-key JD, they pay $142 million in luxury tax. Then it's the Suns.
That's their luxury tax bill. That's not the. That's
their luxury tax.
That's the luxury
tax. Oh, snap!
A lot of money, bro.
That's tax money.
That's their bill, brother.
That's
to a LeBron team. Someone said trade Steph to. He said trade Steph to a LeBron team.
So the Clippers pay $142 million in tax. The Suns are third, and that's where like it drops off considerably. The Suns are paying 64. The Bucks are paying 49. The Celtics are paying 39. The Nuggets are paying 22. And the Heat, low key, which you wouldn't think, but again, that damn Duncan Robinson contract.
Yep.
And Tyler Hero got paid.
And Bam.
And Bam got paid 13. They're paying $13 million in luxury tax. And then the Lakers, with only $3 million in luxury tax, we already know it's a mom and pop shop in LA with the Bus family. All the talk about what they do, the reason why the Russ trade was so bad is that it actually messed their money up for the first time in a long time, and they had to get off that contract badly. And right now we're doing pretty good. And I think that's also why you didn't see us make a bunch of trades.
But
We signed all our players this summer to very good contracts, which made them very tradable contracts. But what were we going to get back? Probably bad contracts, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, go get Zach LaVine." That's a terrible contract.
No,
Everyone's saying go get Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso,
honestly,
great player, not a horrible contract, but Alex Caruso is getting paid a lot of money.
Is Zach? What is Zach LaVine's value in this league? I'm not. This is that comes off as disrespectful, and this is. I think it's going to lead into one of your later questions, Pharaoh. But there's a lot of players that are considered top tier guys that are really mid-level players that haven't done anything in this league, and they're demanding these big contracts.
Exactly,
they're going on teams and not.
Player, bro.
Oh, that is one of my
Are you sure?
questions. Yeah,
are you sure?
Mid-level.
Are you sure?
Zach LaVine's not a mid-level player.
Are you sure?
Mid-level, bro.
Are you sure?
You mad disrespectful.
No, I'm asking
very
a question.
sure.
When you say mid-level, wait, hold on, Andre. When you say that, define what you mean by mid-level.
Mid-level. I'm not talking about the output. I'm talking about the results.
What does that mean?
That's what I thought.
What does that mean?
He's saying he's not a star. He's saying he's not a star.
Yes,
that's what he said.
But since when does the result determine whether you're a star or not? I thought that's what you just.
Wait a second.
No.
How does it not? How does it not?
Because there's 3 tiers. There's star, there's all-star, and there's superstar. And not all 3 tiers.
I would say all-star.
Okay, all right.
I say all-star first.
All right, that's true. That's fair. So
are you an all-star and then a star?
Because if you look at it,
no sense. That don't make no sense.
Think about it. Look.
All-star is a star of all stars.
No. But the name itself, you could be an all-star, not a star. You could be.
What are you talking about?
Kyle Korver was an all-star. Paul Millsap was an all-star.
That's a fair.
That year they were all-stars.
Yeah, but they weren't stars.
They're not stars.
Yes, they were.
Come on. Wait, what?
No, they weren't.
It was a different NBA, my brother.
Oh,
no, they weren't stars.
Brother.
They weren't stars.
You tripping.
You mean star like media, like you're a star? I'm talking about basketball. Like, are you a basketball star? Like, are you a star?
I know.
At the game of basketball?
And to go all-stars to be a star.
To go back to answer my question. To go back to my question.
Sense.
Go back to my. Hold on. Wait a second.
If you have multiple all-stars, then you're an all-star.
They should change the words. They should change the words. And to go back, and Alan, I wasn't saying disrespectful. I say mid-level. I'm not thinking mid-level like a Gabe Vincent. I'm thinking mid-level in terms.
I feel like you're using star.
No, I don't think he's mid.
Mid-level.
I feel like you're saying star to mean all NBA. Like I think it's all-star, all NBA, and then superstar.
Yes, I am.
That's
all NBA is the star, though.
Yes.
But that doesn't sound right. Let's say
it doesn't sound right. I know. They got to change.
Let's make all-star and star the same thing.
But so where I'm going with
where
I'm going with that is these guys are getting superstar money, and I don't think they're that.
That I agree with, but I'm not gonna call him mid-level. He's an all-star.
Now mid-level was a little crazy on my part, but I couldn't think of the right phrase.
But he's not all NBA, but he gets all NBA money.
Right. Correct.
That's what it is. But he is an all-star.
Yes. That's what I mean.
Mid-level is like strictly a money term.
Like Gabe Vincent, like DiVincenzo, like those guys.
They're mid-level guys. Yeah.
Oh, which brings us back. So, are we gonna switch over? I'll let you do it, host.
No, let me say this.
Yeah, we're still we're in it. Yeah.
Like the business of the NBA doesn't matter to teams that believe they can win a chip. They will go over the luxury tax.
That's not true. Based on what we just said is not true because only one team that's won is over. I mean, the Bucks are over. They've won.
I'm talking about contending that think they could win.
Yeah, that's true. All the teams that you mentioned.
The Warriors have the biggest bill, and
they thought they could win.
They thought they could win. They thought they could win after Steph. They really thought they were going to ride it out.
They just won in 22.
They fully
thought they could win.
They didn't think they were getting a bounce last year, bro.
They misjudged their trajectory, but they thought they could win. That's why they are in a tier with all these other contenders.
Bro, they looked at the Lakers last. They won into that last year. They looked at Lakers like
what this list tells me. If you looked at this list, I would never be confused about how the playoffs go ever again. Because regardless of seeding, in the playoffs, it's this 8 teams that it always comes down to.
Correct.
It always comes down to these.
Follow the money. People don't listen to that. Follow the money.
Here's the next thing too.
Plus the Sixers, but the Sixers probably just got under because of James Harden.
Yes.
Which also is another thing to look at with the James Harden decision. A lot of what played into that was the contract he wanted.
Yes.
Because he goes to the Clippers, they jump to number 2 on luxury tax.
Mhm.
And the Sixers are a great team with a great roster and have 0 luxury tax.
Listen, the only way
they're a well-run organization.
Second apron and all of this, like these caps, and first of all, until you get a hard cap, like a really hard, solid cap, the business of the NBA will not matter to these owners that much in this day and age, because these there was a time when owners wanted to skimp out on the money and not give out the money the way they should, but those days are over. They are.
It matters for some of them, though. No, isn't that why the CBA gets negotiated the way it does? I mean, think about the owners that are not on this list. Mark Cuban isn't on this list, which is very interesting to me because you know that he's always an influential voice in CBA negotiations. Dan Gilbert not on this list, even though he has a really good team. The Sixers, right?
I don't think the Mavericks and the Cavaliers think they could win the championship. I think they feel like they're one piece away.
Do you think the Dallas Mavericks are not trying to win?
I think they're trying to go as far as they possibly can and make a splash with.
Or do you think Mark Cuban is part of the reason that they negotiated this CBA the way it is, and he's one of the owners that's moving accordingly?
The owners do what they can within the rules to try and win. If they believe, hold on, wait, quick.
Go ahead, yeah.
In order to try and win when they believe they have a shot. But when it's time to negotiate the rules, of course they're going to try and benefit themselves. But once that's
I also think you gotta recognize that I think because we think that it's owners v players so much, which a lot of times it is in terms of business, that we group all the owners as having the same agenda, and we don't understand that within the owner class there is negotiation happening as well, right? Like the owners are negotiating against players, but also the owners are negotiating against other owners.
True.
Right? Like small market owners are in that negotiation trying to make things happen that benefits them as apart from the big market team.
That's how this happens, really.
Right, and not just market, but also finances. Like not every NBA owner is built the same, right? Like the Clippers owner, Ballmer, he's playing a different game than some of the owner of the Pelicans, right? Like
is he really though?
They have different because they have different bags, right? Like if Ballmer had his way, assumedly, like we would do no cap, we would do baseball, because then I would just do what I'm doing right now. At a higher level, I would max out everybody because I got it like that. And New Orleans is like, we cannot allow you to do that because then I would never have any players.
But they don't have any players. They have Zion. They have
which is why they're trying, right? And I think historically, Mark Cuban, while his bag has been as deep as some of the bigger bags in the NBA, market-wise, he's always fought against the big market advantage, right? That Gilbert Arenas broke this down the other day on the podcast. Mark Cuban is a huge reason why Chris Paul was never a Laker. Because it had to do with contracts. The contract that Chris Paul was going to get traded on to the Lakers at the time in his contract, the way he could have got extended that would have not counted against the salary cap, the Lakers would have had 2 max spots left that summer.
That's crazy.
They would have had Kobe and Chris and 2 max spots, and Mark Cuban said, no, there's no way. Mark Cuban literally was like, no, there's no way we can allow this. We can't allow the Lakers to be able to sign 4 max players.
The Los Angeles All-Stars.
Yeah,
crazy.
So Mark Cuban has 4, right? But they would have all the Lakers. They would have had all 4 in their prime, right? So Mark Cuban for a long time has advocated on behalf of small markets and on behalf of just because you have the bag doesn't mean that you get to acquire all the talent. So it actually does not surprise me that he has a competitive team, but that in the first year of the new apron, he's nowhere near it. Right? Same thing with Dan Gilbert, right? Dan Gilbert, who was burned by super teams, right? Burned by the ability for a big market like Miami to be able to pay 3 all-star players. It doesn't surprise me that he's under the apron. The Sixers, Michael Rubin, we know how he gets down, right?
But let me ask you a question though. If these teams you named, if they really believe they had a shot to win a chip, do you not think they're going for it?
The Sixers don't not only think they have a shot, the Sixers have a shot, and they're under it.
Yeah, but I think they're a different team though because
I think
they went for Harden. They
prerogative.
went for Harden and it didn't work out. Then they got rid of Harden, right?
Well, let me check what they were where they were last year. Then let's see if with Harden they were
Because they went for
they
Harden.
still had zero. They still had zero last year.
Luxury tax.
That was part of Harden's beef is that they refused to pay him a certain amount of money. They refused to do it. They were like, we're not going over the luxury tax, and that's why he wanted out because they literally were like, well, we won't do it. They were under. They were at zero. That's what I'm saying. It's the way owners move. It's Chicago was under last year, and now they have a huge issue because they jumped up this year. They're not over it now, but they're not over it now. But they still have it's still not great. They don't have a lot of salary cap space.
This is the last thing I'm going to say on this issue before other people go. Right. I like to talk about everything combined. I talk about the business combined with what's going on the court, combined with the marketing and all. I talk about everything as affecting everything else. So sometimes what you see is players, teams will make a move for a player. Like, for example, a lot of the players you name that are making a lot of money, but people are like, they're making too much money because their play is not lining up with that. They got the money because it was projected that they would live up to the contract. And then
I disagree with that.
It's not only that. But
I disagree. Go ahead. I want to mark that.
It's projected that they're going to live up to the contract, and then when they don't, now they're like, oh, this is a bad contract. And it looks like they're trying to move off of the contract where most of the time it's because the player is not performing at a certain level that they think the contract is not worth it. It's the play that dictates most of the time, politics aside, that dictates the value of the contract.
Alan, you want to get at this first?
An owner that believes they have a shot, 9 times out of 10 is spending the money because it's
I so vehemently disagree.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why.
I'll go first. Right? I don't know if you have the same thought.
Yeah, no, go. Yeah, go.
I'll take like Zach LaVine as the example, right? When it was time for his like contract negotiation, he was up for, let's say, like $100 million, just to make the numbers easier, right? It's not that they want to pay him $100 million because they think he's going to live up to that. A lot of times, that's their only choice to do because either that or you let him walk away for absolutely nothing. Because the way the cap space works is if you're over the cap space, you're over the cap space. If you let Zach LaVine go, that doesn't mean you go below the cap space and you just have that money available. Most of the times, these teams are still over the cap space even if they let Zach LaVine go. They just have him because they have like the bird rights and all the other stuff. They're allowed to go over the cap space. So if you let Zach LaVine go, you're losing out on a player, and you're not even getting that space back to sign other people. So you really let him go for absolutely nothing. So that's part of the business of the NBA. You can't just let him. You can sign him and then try to trade him later on. Hopefully you get something back in return. That's why you see a lot of these trades are players that's getting back picks or something like that. But you can't just let him go for nothing because that just puts your team back like 5 years. Because now you have no Zach LaVine, you got no cap space for him, and you got no picks for him. And before that, you traded back picks to get him in the first place.
But if you think he's really that great, then that's why you think he's that's why you don't let him go for nothing, right?
No. You thought he was that great when you first got him. He could now 5 years later, he's not that great, and you can't let him go for nothing because he's still good, but your team's stuck now with him.
You know what you're missing, Paul? You're still analyzing decisions on the team in the basketball department, and I mean that literally. In the organization's building, like you're only talking about the rationale behind these contracts when the contract conversation reaches the basketball department. But when players sign a contract, that what the contract offer is not solely determined by the basketball department in an NBA organization. Right. There are 2 other departments that have a say in that conversation, right? One is executive, because I'm literally signing these fucking checks, right? And then the other is salary management, which the GM is basically the GM. The difference between a GM and a head of basketball operations is that, like, the GM is the head of both departments. If you're a general manager, that's why you're a general manager. I am the supervisor of the basketball operations department, and I'm also supervisor of financial management.
Yeah, they tied together. Yeah.
Right. So you have to understand that there is input coming in equally from both of those departments when a contract is offered. So I don't think that the majority reason why a contract is signed that's long like that is a projection of where this player's play is going to play, right? I think what it is financially, one, you have to understand market demand. So building on what Alan said, like not only that we have no choice because we'll lose him for nothing, it's a leverage thing. If he hits certain benchmarks and then looks and his agent can look in the league and say other players in the league are getting paid this money, which means I should get paid this money. As a business person, if you had nothing to debate that with, you have to offer him that. Even if you know it's going to be a bad contract later, you can know it, and you might try to negotiate like, hey man, can we do this for 2 years? Can we do this for 3 years? But that's what a lot of contract negotiations break down on is when a player is like, nah, I want locked in, I want stability for 5 years. Yeah, and a lot of teams that lose players, it's over that. A team put their feet in the dirt and says, we're not giving you this money for 3 years. Like you're not going to be worth this in 3 years. But most young players can get away with that because their leverage is going to be, one, I'm young and I just produced. I could go to a team that is going to pay me because there's no benefit to not using your salary cap space.
You're right.
So if you have a bad team and you don't have any big contracts, one, from a business perspective, I have to sign assets to put butts in seats. Winning is a basketball department concern. From a financial standpoint, I have to get in the green or at least the black somehow. I can't be in the red. So if regardless of how good my team is, if there's a player out there that's going to score 20 points a game and is going to be exciting and is going to put that many more butts in seats so that I make money on ticket sales and concessions or whatever, I'm going to pay what he says the market demands for him.
How you think the Wizards are doing right now when it comes to ticket sales?
Who?
The Wizards.
The Wizards? It is what it is. More people are coming to watch the Wizards to see Jordan Poole than if he wasn't there. Same thing with Kyle Kuzma. If Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma weren't there, who would even buy a ticket? Yeah. It would be an empty arena. Now, no, they're not selling out, but you have to do something, right? And so if you're Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, does the basketball department know these are not max guys? Of course. But if Kuzma says, hey, listen, you offer me $10 million a year, I could get that with the Lakers and stay and winning. So I'm not coming over here for $10 million. Like, y'all suck. I want 30. You gotta pay that. You don't have a choice. You have no choice but to pay that because that's what his market value demands based on where you stand in the marketplace, right? And I think that's why you see stars and big teams when they collide is because the big teams can really stand on, brother, like your market value don't say we got to give you that. And that's where James Harden was at. The Sixers knew, like, yo, your market value does not say we have to give you this money, bro. Like, if you think you go to Houston and get a bag, go. Let Houston pay you. And that's when Harden was messed up because Houston was like, absolutely not. You know, and his market value changed, right? So now that changed. He can't just go to a small team and get big money. So a lot of these contracts were signed because when the timing so happened that the player's contract came up at a year where their market value was inflated and when availability for their services was limited, right? And so if you were a good team or a middle team, you could try to negotiate, but if you were a bad team and you wanted him on your team, you had to overpay him.
True, but my thing
that's happened with Zach LaVine. You know, Chicago, Minnesota, they were not good, and the time his contract came up, he could walk and get a reasonable contract for a winning team. If you want any chance to keep him, you had to overpay him, and he knows that.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just think the market value is not just strictly like Zach LaVine, James Harden, all these guys. They could demand what they demand and have these talks with their financial departments because of what they do on the court and what they're predicted to do on the court. So, like when Andre said Zach LaVine is a mid-level player, Yeah, it may be the wrong terminology, but he's saying that because
I'm not wrong.
people are
You
saying,
are wrong.
yeah, it's the wrong terminology.
You
But
are
he's
wrong.
It's the
saying-
wrong terminology.
He's not a middle player. He's a dunk contest champion. He's a 20-point scorer.
You know that don't mean
no. Yes, it does. It puts butts in seats because any given night he might do something spectacular aerially. Zach LaVine puts butts in seats, so he's not a mid-level.
I'm not saying he's not mid-level.
People come to a game to see a Zach LaVine play basketball. So when he walks into a contract negotiation, that's a part of it. I will sell tickets for you. I will sell jerseys for you. I will sell merch. Am I doing it at a superstar level? No, but I'm doing it way more for you than a Torian Prince is. So you cannot give me no mid-level contract.
That's true.
True.
He's an all-star. He's an all-star level player.
He's an all-star. That's what I'm saying. I've made an all-star game. You have to pay me money.
But the problem is he's like you said, there is no market for him because a lot of people don't look at him like an all-star anymore. They look at him like he's young.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's what the nuance in the second neighboring conversation is that because the rules have changed, the contracts that were made and signed under the old rules are by default bad contracts. Regardless of the play or not, based on the new rules, almost everyone at that level was overpaid. So whether Zach LaVine's value on court was good or not, based on the rules now, playing any player that much of your salary cap is now a bad contract if they're not top 5.
They're not a superstar. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that Zach LaVine should be like. That's why I'm going back with Andre. It's not that Zach LaVine's a mid-level guy and he's not all-star money. It's the fact that Zach LaVine is getting paid all-star money from 2014.
I don't think he's getting. Yeah. All right.
And right now, that money is superstar money in 2024. That's the issue. He's getting all-star money from a past era, and that's why it's a bad contract. The money he's making now, we can't have that going to just the all-star on our roster. That amount of money has to be going to a superstar. Otherwise, we're going to be on the luxury tax, and that's what the luxury tax is. If you're going to be paying all-star caliber players max superstar money, we're taxing you because that's going to disadvantage other teams.
Right.
Facts.
Right.
But
agreed.
Not prevented. It's not like they can't do it. They just
but that's what I'm saying.
Championship teams do it.
To come back to your point, we could probably close it out on this. While I think that yes, a team that thinks they can win it might be more willing. It has long been a known thing that there's such a thing as a good owner and bad owner from the standpoint of willingness to spend. Right. And I think that's true. And that's true. But that's true winning or losing. There are some owners that whether we have a chance to win or not, I'm not paying no luxury tax, bro. And I think the Philadelphia 76ers have shown that they're one of those teams. No matter how good we are, I'm not paying that tax. I believe the Mavericks are, since last year with the new rules, they have become one of those teams. I'm not paying that tax.
I don't know about that.
I think the Warriors are trying to figure it out, but the Lakers have been very willing to spend in the past. Yeah. I think the Knicks, I think Dolan is one of those owners. I'm not paying that tax.
I don't know about that either. I don't know about that either because people only just now started talking about us being this good. So go ahead.
Yeah, but they criticize you always for talent management, not money management. I don't think anyone's ever said the Knicks were a bad
Wait. That's not true. Allen Houston, they got a lot of slack for that.
He'll spend the money. And he'll get slack for spending the money in bad ways on bad contracts.
That's correct.
So,
they had a couple bad contracts.
I haven't seen the Knicks in the luxury tax in years.
Because
they changed it around. They turned around.
No, it's because we haven't been that good in years. I'm telling you.
No, but one, like you said, can determine the other. Sometimes to be good, you got to be willing to overpay dudes.
That's Paul's point, though.
True. Yeah.
No, Paul's saying whenever they have a chance to do it, they would. And I'm saying that's not true. Some owners will sacrifice being good because they don't want to overpay.
Let me say this.
The Thunder with James Harden. That's exactly what happened.
If the Thunder would have been willing to be a luxury tax bomb, they would have given James Harden that contract.
They didn't believe in James Harden like that.
No, they didn't.
That's the whole reason.
It wasn't belief. They didn't want to pay. They did not want to pay. It was
They
not
didn't believe he was going to be a superstar.
Yes,
That's
did.
why I'm
They
telling you,
didn't
the
want
play
to
on the
pay.
court matters.
They
I'm
didn't
telling
want
you.
to pay him.
Bro,
They
the difference was they didn't want to pay him like it was like $6 million. The difference in the contract.
We
It
gotta
was like
go.
6
We
million.
gotta go. This is getting heat.
All right.
We gotta go.
I want to pick back up with this. Re-examining the James
Yeah.
Harden. We can re-examine some of the most infamous trades in history from a salary cap perspective. We'll go over Chris Paul. We'll go over James Harden. We'll go over a lot because I think a lot of that was that the Thunder were not trying to. They're a small market team. The franchise just started. They had just got to Oklahoma.
Literally just say, yeah.
They were not trying to be a luxury tax team before they even cleared their books on the arena.
If they saw Houston, James Harden
in arena.
All right.
We'll pick it back up. This was a great episode.
Yeah.
Thank you, y'all. Hopefully y'all appreciated us taking the combos to like a little higher level. We're gonna do this in the future again, and we're gonna start taking our basketball analysis to like the intricate detail level as well. Stick with us as fast breaks.
And then you're gonna catch us